Hello, my name is Johnny. Welcome to another Marvel Character Talk. Today we're going to look at some great Jack Kirby Thor covers. The Silver Age featuring Cobra and Mr. Hyde. If you'd like, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, reply, and share. One of the great team-ups of the 60s. You got the human Cobra, shortened to the Cobra, and the bestial Mr. Hyde. And we're going to take a look closely at all the covers, but the first thing I'm going to say, they started out in 1963 with this issue, and with introducing the human Cobra, very cool. And then they had a two-parter with Mr. Hyde, 99 and 100. I don't have 99 here because that's in a CGC, a different area and so forth, but this is a better cover to feature Mr. Hyde. Then they had the idea of teaming them up into this one, 105 and 106, a two-parter, where they get a hold of Thor's hammer. And then they came back again in 110 and 111. So in just a little over a year, they were on seven comics that a lot of folks don't know that they were big, started out as big Thor foes, Cobra and Mr. Hyde. And in one of these stories, I haven't reread them yet, that Loki upped their powers. They were already strong and good to begin with, and then they really upped them. So Mr. Hyde became super strong. Let's take a look at the closer here, the very, hey, to move it over here. Jack Kirby covers. Look at the coloring on here, the purple and the blue. Think you have troubles? Wait till you see what happens to Thor when he meets the human Cobra. Even a thunder god cannot match my great power, as you are now about to learn. There's Jane Foster. There's Thor. Also, Tales of Asgard. Odin battles the ice giants. So very nice cover. Thor looking very young and happy in the cover corner. These are all 12 centers. Like I said, the first one was 99 with Mr. Hyde. That was kind of a white cover, and he was on there, but these bigger and nicer on this one. You will never forget the Thor's showdown with Mr. Hyde. He had captured Jane Foster. There she is again in her nurse's outfit. Also, the boyhood of Thor featured in Tales of Asgard. Look at this nice Kirby goodness. Look at how crazy Mr. Hyde looks. Yeah, so they up Mr. Hyde's power, so he was going to be even stronger. And I believe then the human Cobra's powers was up, so he was even faster and could slither into tiny areas. A new Marvel Super Spectacular, back on the rampage again, the Cobra and Mr. Hyde. So they'd bump into each other and discover they both fought Thor, and then they have this idea of teaming up. Don't miss the latest Tales of Asgard when Heimdall failed. And you can see his artwork was already changing a bit, Kirby maturing. Here he is, slithering along. And then this one. How can Thor hope to defeat Mr. Hyde and the Cobra after they've taken his mighty hammer from him? It was funny in one of the later letters pages. They mentioned, how can they do it? And they explained, well, it's a machine. It's not another person. The machine doesn't have to be worthy. The Thunder God strikes back. Our pledge to you, if you don't like this epic battle, you might enjoy Millie the Model. That was one of the Glamour Gal mags that they put out at the time. Marvel. Very nice cover. I wish I had these in super minty because they're nice. And one or two of these had a pinup in them that's been removed on the copies I have. So that was 106. And just a few issues later, excuse me, 110, they're back. See mighty Thor battling against the legions of Asgard, which the desperate Thunder God finds every hand against him. There's Jane Foster again. See the mysterious Mr. Hyde, the serpentine Cobra, the sinister Loki, and the noble Odin. So this must be the one where their powers are upped. Look at them. Very cool. And then we decided this cover was too beautiful to spoil with captions, so here it is, you figure it out. So they only had the one caption. So you got Asgard, I believe that's Heimdall, throwing the sword. There's the Rainbow Bridge. A very nice dark robe on Thor, his cape, excuse me. And then we got Slithery, look at him, Slithery Cobra, and the bestial Mr. Hyde. Already in the beginning of these, Mr. Hyde was always picking on Cobra and call him sniveling and so forth. So they were one of those classic villain team-ups where they argue and don't get along very much, but still they stay together. The closer up on the Cobra on his face. And then years later in a Spider-Man in the early 80s, Cobra was trying to get away and stay away from Mr. Hyde, and he was coming after him in a Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man issues. And then Cobra would go on to found the Serpent Society, and then he slightly changed his name to King Cobra, and he might have had added more powers. And here you can see his little stings. He had things that would shoot out like gas and different things in it. So he had offensive weapons besides being a super contortionist that could wiggle around and get into real tight spaces. It's weird in the comics. They show him going into these little things. Kirby had to draw just legs sticking out of stuff. Strange. It was real cool. So I wanted to cover these guys because they're some of my favorites for the human villain type foes of Thor. And as I said, look how many times he fought them. After this, they'd next appear, I believe, in along with everybody else in the wedding of Reed and Sue in the FF Annual 1965. Then I think in the issue 30s something, they'd fight Daredevil and continue to fight Daredevil. And then later on, as I said, they fought Spider-Man and fought Captain America and a lot. So some cool villains, not AA list, but a high B-list type of villain, but I really like them. Very cool. Until next time, more Marvel character talk. I've got videos on the Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Copper Age into the early 90s on comics, and then I have different Marvel stuff I show up until the present day, including a lot of hero clicks, which I like. Until next time, thanks for watching, my friends.